Also, before I start the video, guys, my first original try at this was actually copyrighted. A couple different things got claimed in the video. So basically what I did is for everything that got claimed that I saw or that I knew of, I inserted either a clip of Michael proposing to Holly or a picture of Michael whenever Toby came back. Anyway, without further ado, enjoy the video. Now, while there aren't really any seasons of The Office that I don't like, Season 8 is easily my least favorite season. It's not necessarily bad per se, and if it was any season of any normal TV show, then it would probably be one of the best seasons. But this is a season of one of the best TV shows of all time, so on average, the subpar season just won't cut it. This season had a lot of potential, as one of my favorite characters from Season 7, Andy Bernard, was announced as the regional manager of The Office in Episode 1 of the season. But ultimately, it was somewhat disappointing. Once again, not bad, but just average. Also, who on earth thought it was a good idea to bring some hyper-inappropriate lunatic on as one of the main cast members? Robert California is easily one of the worst characters this show has ever seen. He has so much potential to be a mysteriously funny character, but instead they just made him this old, weird guy who was obsessed with anything sexual and just was extremely uncomfortable to watch. And not in a good way like Michael Scott, just straight up bad. At this point in the series, it seemed like the writers were running out of good ideas. Smushed in between two fairly creative seasons, the best the writers could do is make a bunch of episodes take place outside of the office in Scranton, which, considering that the show was named after a specific setting, probably wasn't the best idea. Above all these complaints, my biggest gripe from Season 8 is that it was just completely bland. It didn't branch out and try anything new, aside from just moving the setting of half the episodes, and it just wasn't memorable really at all. Tell me, whenever you're looking back at The Office, are you going to remember the time that Michael burned his foot on a George Foreman grill and Dwight got a concussion going to pick him up? Or are you going to remember that one time Stephen Collins guest starred as Andy's negligent father at an unimportant garden party? My point is that this was a completely unmemorable season, and that's what separates it from all 8 other seasons as the distinct worst. Now, it was a little tough to put this one this low, because this is the first full season of The Office I watched. Since, like I mentioned earlier, I don't have Netflix, I had to watch these in the order that they came on TV, not the actual order of the seasons. Anyway, I have a special place in my heart for Season 7. That being said though, it's not anything amazing. It has a lot of fun moments, and there are a lot of great episodes that stand out, such as Threat Level Midnight, The Search, and Goodbye Michael. So just because of having some great episodes, it already places ahead of Season 8. But the reason that I can't put it any higher is that it just is another season on the decline that The Office went on after Season 4. It isn't nearly as funny or creative as really any of the other seasons are, and really the most prominent plotline doesn't take place until the final 10 episodes of the season, with Michael leaving the office. So while some of the first episodes of The Office I ever watched during this season, I can't put it ahead of any of the rest of the seasons that are legitimately better than this one. I love Season 7, but sadly it's not better than any of the rest of the seasons of The Office, and despite how it kind of introduced me to the show, I can't put it any higher than the next season on my list. The kickoff season of The Office. Season 1 only lasted for 6 episodes, but it showed us just where the series wanted to go as soon as the second episode. While the pilot episode was essentially an exact copy of the pilot episode for the UK version of The Office, the second episode, Diversity Day, is one of the best in the series. While the season definitely could have been a little longer, or could have started out more originally, it's still a fun season while it lasts. All the episodes are funny, creative, and a joy to watch, and it really introduces us to the characters that we will come to love. It showed us Jim's obvious affection for Pam, Pam's terrible fiancé Roy, Michael's hilarious inability to run a functional office, and Ryan being the all-over-the-place character of the series. From Diversity Day to basketball, some of these episodes turn into series classics and are still fun to watch today. So while The Office was trying to find its footing during this season, it does a great job at entertaining its audience and giving us the show we love. Yes, I would have liked more from Season 1, but it was great for what it was and was the pilot season for one of the best shows ever. Now, there are some parts of Season 6 that I haven't seen, but from what I have seen, this is a great season. Whether it be Jim and Pam getting married at Niagara Falls or Pam having their first baby Cece, this season honed in on the Jim and Pam relationship. Their relationship, which was my personal favorite part of the series by the way, is the main focus of Season 6, and it's great. This is also Michael's last full season on the show, and he is great and hilarious as always. Really, The Office hadn't started its decline yet and was in full swing in Season 6. I don't really have anything else to say besides that it was just a ton of fun to watch. Like I said, Jim and Pam have a lot of development, which is nice, and the series isn't in the middle of a big departure like in the next season. Overall, Season 6 is great and has one of the best episodes in the series in Niagara. And without any more to say about it, it comes in at number 6. So now I'll get into the controversial stuff. I think Season 9 is one of the better seasons of The Office. Not the best, but not the worst like so many other people think. Before you throw your phone at the wall or smash your computer screen or however you're watching this video, just let me explain. Season 9 is hard to watch. Seeing Jim and Pam continuously argue and Jim becoming a total jerk at times can just make you feel bad. But while it wasn't fun, it was necessary. Have you ever seen a movie where no conflict goes on, or the conflict is at the very beginning and is resolved before the film's halfway over? If you have, it likely hasn't fared well with the critics. So, the writers noticed this and gave us a conflict. While it was hard to get through and may be emotional at times, it was very satisfying when it was resolved. Tell me, were you more satisfied with how Jim and Pam made up towards the end of Season 9 and finished the series happier than ever, or would you rather have them continue with no conflict and no increase in happiness? Movies can't function without a main conflict that's resolved in the end, so TV shows, especially the great ones, shouldn't be the opposite of that. Anyway, this season just gets ragged on a ton, and most of it is unnecessary. It was a different season, but just because it's new compared to other seasons doesn't mean it's automatically the worst, like a lot of people seem to think. I love the Pete and Aaron relationship, and while I think that she and Andy were great together, whenever Andy returned from his 3-month boat trip, he resorted back to being the total jerk that he was whenever he first was introduced into the series. Also, Oscar letting Angela stay with him is a nice subplot that may have derived from one of my least favorite parts of the series, but it was still great. All of this, and really the entire series, culminated into the final 2 episodes of the series finale. It tied up pretty much all loose ends and was one of the closest times I had ever come to tearing up at entertainment. I still never have, but that's a story for another time. Anyway, I really think that Season 9 is underrated and is close to the best send-off this show could have had. So Season 5 didn't have any major plot lines going on in it, but it still had some insanely creative episodes and hadn't quite started on the gradual decline that the series would eventually go on. What saves this season from the fate of Season 8 is that it has some of the best and funniest moments of the entire series. Whether it be Jim proposing to Pam, the whole office messing up a safety hazard seminar, or Jim and Pam finding out that Pam is pregnant, Season 5 is packed at the top with classic moments that some of the other seasons just don't have. Plus, it introduced us to Holly, the character that finally was perfect for Michael. While she left for Season 6, she came back in Season 7 and, well, we know what happened. Michael also left and started the Michael Scott Paper Company, which made for a hilarious span of episodes. Season 5 was probably the season built on pure entertainment. Don't get me wrong, this season isn't plotless or anything like that, but compared to other seasons, it seemed like it was just there to give us a fun season and not much else. It does set up a lot of major plot lines that would take place in later seasons though, which helps that out a lot. Overall, Season 5 had less plot than the last 5 seasons on the list, but it was one of the most entertaining seasons in the series, and that is the biggest reason that it gets put this high. Now, Season 3 is easily competing with the top 2 seasons on the list. I could see you switching it around to number 2, and I wouldn't be mad at you. I love the season, and I think that it's one of the best seasons of TV ever. It has so many funny moments such as Andy punching a hole in the wall, Michael dumping Jan over voicemail, or Jan going through plastic surgery to try and get Michael back. Those are just a few, but there are a ton more of hilarious moments. There are also some amazing episodes like The Merger, Beach Games, or Benihana Christmas. It doesn't have quite as many phenomenal episodes as the next 2 on the list do, but it still has some classics. We are also introduced to some new characters such as Karen and Andy that make for a lot of fun moments in Season 3 and in future seasons. Really, my only complaint, which is more of a personal problem, is that it's pretty frustrating at times. Watching Pam continually try to reconnect with Jim and him just not doing it is pretty painful. Other than that though, this is a nearly perfect season and wholeheartedly deserves to be in the top 3. Now the gap between number 1 and number 2 is extremely small. I'm sure you already know the 2 that are left, and I honestly rotated between having them both at number 1. But after thinking over it a lot, I have decided which is number 2 and which is number 1. So here we go. Season 4 of The Office is comedy TV at its best. It has some of the best episodes and moments in the entire series. Jim and Pam finally get together after years of agonizingly watching them both unsuccessfully try to court each other, and it lives up to what it's built up to over the past 3 seasons. Their relationship is by far my favorite of the entire series, so seeing it finally come together was infinitely satisfying. Also in this season, Michael finally breaks up with Jan. In what was probably the most uncomfortable yet funniest episode of the series, Michael and Jan host a dinner party that results in them yelling at each other.
Kids, then fine! You win! Let's have a kid!
And the police having to come and force Michael to leave his condo. Later in the season, he meets Holly, who he eventually marries after another 3 seasons. Dinner Party isn't the only top-of-the-line episode of the season though, as the season opener, Fun Run, and others such as Branch Wars and The Deposition are hilarious and amazingly well done. Really my only gripe, since I had to have one thing separating it from my number 1, is that it is a very short season. At only 19 episodes, with half of them being 2-parters, it suffered from a writer's strike that forced the filming to be delayed and ended up having the shortest season, aside from season 1, in the entire series. Other than that one small complaint that had nothing at all to do with the quality of the show, it's a perfect season. It just isn't as special as number 1 on my list. Season 2. It is hands down my favorite season of television that I've ever seen, and most likely ever will see. It has so much going for it, and literally nothing at all going against it. I honestly can't find a single thing wrong with it. Whenever I was doing the prep work for these 2 videos, I wrote down the best, mixed, and worst episodes of each season. While other seasons did really well, I quickly found myself putting down 95% of the episodes of the season. You could ask me what my favorite episodes of The Office were, and I'd probably start rattling off most of the episodes from Season 2. I've been saying some of the best episodes of each season while doing these videos, but I can't just name 2 or 3 from Season 2. I love all of them, including Casino Night, The Dundies, The Fire, Booze Cruise, The Injury, The Secret, Take Your Daughter to Work Day, Halloween, The Client, Office Olympics, Email Surveillance, and any other ones that I didn't name. There are quite literally no bad episodes from this season, or really even mediocre ones, which I can't really say for all 8 other seasons. It has so many moments, and not just funny ones. Yes, it has funny moments.
I like waking up to the smell of bacon. Sue me.
But it also has some emotional moments too.
I'm in love with you.
What?
And is just extremely fun to watch. Season 2 is obviously a 10 out of 10 perfect season for me, and most other people would agree with that statement. I love all the other seasons, and they have their moments, but none of them can top this masterpiece of a season of television, and that's why Season 2 is number 1.